What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, here live with you on a Tuesday for Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito. And how the hell did that cat get into my intro? I don't know who the hell hacked me, but I don't know how that Jamalong cat got there. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Remember, hope everybody's having a good holiday week / election / coup. And today we're going to be talking comedy with a good friend of mine, longtime 2 a.m. Burrito collaborator, Dave Callans. You might remember him from such scenes as the time he got his ass kicked in Blacklisted.
You need to get on.
Don't be butthurt. Listen to the friend, I'm leaving.
Careful what you say, man. You'll be hurting all over. Be a good little boy. Keep your mouth closed as you walk back to your car.
Rainbow, nigga, get on.
Man, I'm not going to tell you again. Get in your car, get the hell out of here, and don't come back.
You know what? I missed my workout today. So whooping both your asses, just take care of it. So fuck you and your fat ass mamas.
That dude could really take a punch. Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. That line delivery. Oh, my God. So let's bring him on, my friend, comedian. He also does The List on the Quarantine Network, and he's a comedian, and I want to talk about comedy things. So let's bring on Mr. Dave Callans. What's up, man?
Oh, my God. That scene brings back memories. That was funny.
The man that needs a rather lengthy introduction, Dave Callans.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. I always knew that I wanted to have you on as a guest eventually for this, but you're always doing that list every night and things like that, and I know you're busy. So and I'm doing my own thing, and I was doing it kind of around the same time that sometimes I'd be ending my stream and seeing that you were live and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we could put it together where it works for both of us.
Yeah, it's good that we could work it out. It's cool.
And well, let's get right into it. The List. This is something that you started doing out of.
Time out. Before we go List, I just want to say that scene we just watched.
Yeah.
I think CG hates me secretly because he's had me in a couple other projects, and one that he put me in, he made me be this racist sheriff. Like I had to say the worst things to him and then lynch him and hang him from a tree. And I'm like, you just hate me. You're making me be this piece of.
Are you getting typecast as a racist sheriff?
Know, man. Maybe it's something about me that just portrays that image.
Are you one of those people that's afraid to go on like the DNA ancestry because you're going to find out that your parents had like a plantation in Louisiana, your great granddaddy or something?
That'd be hilarious.
No, I don't. That was literally almost as I look at the picture we have, 2014, man. So that was 6 years ago that I worked on that. But no, I wanted to talk to you about a shitload of stuff, but I figured we'd start on the most current, which is
absolutely,
doing that. So February, March, COVID starts running around. As a comedian that whose livelihood depends on people deciding to leave their house and go to mingle with different people. Right. Did you sort of see it coming on early that you were going to be have to figure out some way to stay creative or just an overall? Did the panic sit in for you at all? February, March?
Not really. I mean, in March, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to what goes on in the world, like news-wise, stuff like that. I knew there was a chance this would happen, whatever. But it kind of took me by surprise, like, oh my God, we got to close down. This is crazy. And it was sort of indefinite. So we all knew we were going to be off stage for a while. And I had some friends who right away jumped onto Zoom comedy shows, started doing like broadcast stuff like that. I did a couple and just didn't feel the same at all. I just wasn't into it. So, I mean, even though I haven't been performing, I've done maybe half a dozen shows over the past 7 months. Live shows, like socially distanced, very limited crowd. So even though I've barely performed at all, I've still been writing material. It's just, I can't really try it out. You know what I mean? Which is a huge part of doing stand-up comedy.
Do you carry stuff for you from year to year on your material, or do you try to start fresh like every X amount of months or X amount of years?
There's different cycles. Like sometimes I'll get sick of my material and I just like really just want to retire it and start something else. Sometimes I'll forget about a joke that I did a few years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I like that one. I forgot about that. And I'll bring it back. It's a constant cycle, but there's always the need to like put fresh stuff in, just keep developing.
What do you think it is about Zoom that just sort of doesn't lend itself to like that performance? Because I saw a couple. What was the guy's name? The dude, the ping pong dude. That's like he calls himself world's greatest. I forgot his name. But they were doing like a Zoom show with a bunch of different people, and it was either minimum $1, but pay whatever you want. Like you can pay $1 million if you want. But what is it about that? Is it the delay? Is it the just the lack of response?
Not having the connection. There's no live audience to connect with. Like you really, really need that energy for live performance. Like for music, you can just play. Like you don't need someone. But for comedy, it really does depend on the audience reacting. Like the whole room feeling that same energy, everybody laughing, and the laugh being like infectious, and other people laughing because of that. And the comic even playing off that, like throwing in a little bit of crowd work, like pointing things out, being really in the moment with what's going on in the room. Without that energy, it's so hard to get it going.
Are you ever one of those people that would tell like the hostess or whatever, if you see some funny looking motherfuckers, go ahead and front row them for me, right? Is that a thing?
It is. There are some comics who really like to do the crowd work and are really good at the crowd work. There's some comics like pros, guys who make the money. When they do a club, they'll stipulate, like, listen, no one else can do crowd work because they don't want someone else to come up with the stuff that they're going to say.
Right.
But with me personally, I don't have the confidence to be that quick on my feet. Like all my jokes are in my head. I know what I'm going to say. I have a rough idea how it's going to go, and I have a couple different avenues I can go down depending on the reaction.
Right.
But as far as like making fun of somebody in the crowd or pointing out something that's happening right now, that's not my strong suit at all.
No. So you would never like plant like a Tony Clifton in the crowd, like Andy Kaufman style, just like somebody to prepare. I could be that guy. I could show up. Sup, Dave Callans?
And then I start crying, and you're like, "Wait, you weren't supposed to do that."
I'm sorry, man. Sorry. Come on. I go on stage and I hug you. Everybody has that emotional moment. No, but when did you like? I know we're getting kind of going back and forth, so I want to finish up on the list. So. You've done a few shows, you start doing, and then you just decide all of a sudden, like, I like talking. You are somebody that I can talk to about movies, right, all the time, and obviously you're a fan of comedy and movies. So was it just a natural combination for you to be like, I'll just do a thing every night where I just talk about different types of movies and just list them?
Sort of. I don't really. I'm old enough that I know my personality pretty well. I have a lot of ambition. Like I have a lot of things I want to do, but I have almost no motivation. So I need someone else to sort of kick me in the ass to get stuff going. Right. So when quarantine started, a buddy of mine started the Quarantine Network on Facebook. He just made a group and started inviting people. And his goal was to have live broadcasts pretty much around the clock. So he had people sign up like, oh, a bartender is going to do how to make a drink. Someone's going to do gardening. Someone's going to do yoga. And he hit me up. He's like, hey, would you want to do something? I know you're a performer, you're a comic. Would you want to do something? And I was like, I could talk about movies. He's like, all right, cool. And so he gave me a time slot, and it just started from there. When we were doing it back then, at the beginning, I was doing 15 minutes. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just coming up with a different category every day, posting it. People would comment, and I'd talk about the comments. And then it kind of evolved to where it is now, where I've got the whiteboard behind me. I have all my picks written out.
Got the mystery word.
I got the shots. Like if I hit a certain number of viewers, I'll do a shot. I have shots of Fireball lined up. It was just sort of a fun evolution of that. And, like you said, we're the kind of guys that love talking movies. So that was a natural fit. It was like, I love talking about movies. Other people like to interact and hear their opinions about movies. So I'll collect people's opinions and then we'll talk about them.
And one of the categories that I had, and sometimes, like I said, I would do my stream and then I would be done and you would have like 3 minutes left on your stream. And then I'd be like, oh, fuck. Like I missed Dave's stream. And then I'd be like, damn, I really wanted to participate in this particular category. Cause sometimes it would be like movies that can never get made today, or like, dark comedies and different shit like that. I was like, I wonder if you'll ever do like independent San Diego comedies made by production companies that are named after Mexican food. Like, I'm a shoe-in on that one, Dave.
I was supposed to do that one tonight, but I had to scrap it. So.
one of the ones that I thought for that particular category, which is like, one of the ones that I really enjoyed that you did is when you were talking about movies that can never be made today was, I don't know if you guys mentioned, but Ted Demi's Beautiful Girls, which was one of like the ones that at the time you're like, oh, this is Natalie Portman and fucking all these other people and stuff like that. But at the very minimum, the dude was grooming like a young girl. He was like, you can wait for me till I'm 18. We can go through this world together. And dude was thinking about it.
Yeah, we didn't cover that movie, but when we did that category, one that really pops to mind for me was I think it was 16 Candles, one of the John Hughes movies, where at the end, like the jock and his drunk girlfriend, he just pawns off his drunk girlfriend, and the other guy's like, here, you can have her. And like, yo, that would not play today. That's, oh my God, there's so many things wrong with that scenario.
The problematic nature of blank movie. Anytime I read an article and there's the problem with, or the, some of the scenes in Seinfeld were problematic. How do you feel about like that reverse sort of like retroactive outrage when you see it, like for shit that's happened in the past? It's
weird. Like one of the big ones to me, or that I thought was a big one, was when they took Apu off The Simpsons, retroactively, because like, oh, that's such a stereotype. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll get rid of him.
Did they take him out of the old shows too?
No, I don't think so.
They didn't have him out. No, they just said he's gone moving forward, right?
Getting rid of him. Yeah, that'd be crazy if they took him out of the old shows.
No, if they just retconned him. It's some fucking like some big San Francisco bear. Just be like, just the most like progressive image we could possibly find. Yeah. We got Jerry Otis. Jerry Otis, hey, we shot Blacklisted several years ago. He played the corrupt police commissioner, I believe. Thank you for joining the stream, Jerry. Anybody that wants to ask Dave any questions about the list, about comedy, he's also doing a lot of things right now to help out local businesses. I know you were associated with a small bar that closed. Yep. And then they're selling their T-shirts and things like that. So if you're on Facebook, what's the name of that group that you have? It's
I just started a group on Facebook, and I don't know if it'll take off or not, but it's called Shop Local SD. And my goal is to get like all like local people, like who have DVD movies that they made, music they make, T-shirts they sell, crafts, arts, services. Get all those people in the group, and then start getting like regular people who want to come in and check it out and see like, oh, I need some shirts. I want some music. I want to, just support local people.
Absolutely. And the people that I've been shouting out recently, if you don't want to cook this holiday season, hit up Sophia and her family at Casa del Toro Original. They'll make you a big-ass plate of tacos for your family for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. My homegirl, Michelle, M&M Custom Designs on Instagram or on Etsy. And then the guy I talked to yesterday, who's an artist, he's based out of Illinois, but he's doing a lot of really cool art at John Griffin Art as well. And then if you're on Facebook locally, look up Dave and his group Shop Local SD so you can see what other companies locally and Pico locally have businesses, etc. that have. As always, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure that if you are watching, you should throw us a like on Facebook.com/2mburrito. If you watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/2mburrito, where we stream some gameplay at times. And if you want to watch all our old movies, including the ones that Dave has been in, youtube.com/2mburrito, go there. So the list, but you say that you don't have, that you need to get kicked in the ass, but I mean, I don't see other comics that are putting together like sketch competitions just because they see a void, So, you go out of your way to host a nightly show, a fucking nightly show. I do this like 2, sometimes 3 times a week, and it's enough for me. So, I mean, maybe it's ambition, maybe it's cocaine. What is it that drives you? If you still say you're somebody that needs a kick in the ass.
Man, honestly, it's when I do the list, it's around 6:00. I put the topic on Facebook, and then people start commenting. And from 6 until I go live, I'm taking notes. I'm like looking up all the movies. I'm writing stuff out. And that's one of the things, like I'm learning so much about movies that I love, stuff I never knew, like the trivia that we get into. Because there's certain movies, you, as a filmmaker, I'm sure you love Blues Brothers. And that movie has come up in so many different categories. It comes up in like road trip comedies. It comes up in buddy movies. It comes up in musicals. We've covered it so many times that I don't want to keep saying the same things. So every time it comes up, I just look up different trivia. And so I'm finding all this cool little trivia, and that's exciting to get to share that with people. Like, I bet nobody knows this happened, or I bet no one knows this story. So I get to do that. Like that's what keeps me going on the list. Is I do spend like a good 3 hours a night prepping for it. But learning all that fun new stuff is just, if it wasn't for that, it would just be such a tedious drag. You know what I mean?
I mean, I know what you feel, because I try like my best to not make my show like, I don't like interviews where it's like, what's your favorite movie? And you know, this and that. Like I actually try to figure out interesting takes. I do a segment called like Ignorant Questions, where I'm talking to people that are different walks of life and stuff like that. Like I get off when people are like, oh, Lou, I've never been asked that. Or you ask, you know, cool questions, like stuff like that. So, you know, like even with you, somebody that I know, like I do my box. So I don't know if I could do 3 hours of prep, but you know what I do is, if I'm going to interview somebody a week from today, and they already said yes. And it's somebody like when I interviewed like, Jose Yenke, who was in the movie Traffic. He played one of the cartel hitmen in Traffic, and he's been in like It's Always Sunny and L.A. Law, and freaking he was in L.A. He was in Always Sunny when he was the guy that was crying over Dee's diary when they were in the dad's house in one of the early seasons and stuff like that. Yeah, him and Charlie were like sitting there reading Dee's diary and crying. So I was nervous to get, because he said yes, and I was like, cool. So what I would do is more like I play the interview. It's like an athlete, right? I play the game in my head a little bit. So I start thinking, I'm going to ask this, and I'll transition to this, and I'll do that. Is that part of also what you like? I'll talk about this, and then this will bring up this anecdote, stuff like that.
For the list,
yeah.
It's pretty much. I don't want to say scripted, but I have all my notes. Like I make my picks, and then people comment theirs. So I just rate a literal list of like all the movies. Here's my 6 movies, and here's all the movies everyone suggested. And I take notes about all of them, some little fact or trivia or whatever. And so I'm pretty much just going through that. And then there'll be some interaction with the comments. Like someone might make a comment or ask a question or something, which we'll get to sort of riff live. But most of it, it's just me like just sharing the stuff that I learned during my research.
Yeah, I found that if you're jumping into it like 15 minutes in, somebody's pretty much already probably mentioned the movie that you're thinking about, and it's just going to get lost. And by that point, you're already so far in, and you already have so many other comments that you want to read before the end that you're almost like rushing to get to everybody.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Have you considered doing any of those drive-in car shows?
Man, I don't know. That's it's interesting because as soon as quarantine started, a couple local comics here started doing parking lot shows, and it was like on the DL at first, like message us the day of, we'll give you the secret location, everybody show up, blah blah blah, and it was kind of cool. But on the other hand, it's still sort of, to me at least, some comics but to me it's still almost like a Zoom show because they're all inside their car. You're not like, there's no connection to them. They're still isolated from you. And yeah, they like flash their lights or beep their horn when they like something, but it's still it's a whole different vibe. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. To me, it's not the same.
You're seeing somebody, is not the same as,
yeah. And for anybody watching who's going to say, oh, Dave never sees anybody laugh. Solid burn.
Solid. So what's the difference, right? So, Did you always want to be a comedian? Like, what was it that when you were growing up that made you sort of realize, or was it just, you know?
It's weird. Like, I don't have some kind of story for it. It's like, it's just stupid. I don't know what it was, but I just thought, like, one day I literally thought to myself, like, you know what? I bet I could do an open mic. And so I signed up for one, and I went up there and I did 3 minutes, and it wasn't awful. It was decent. And so that was encouragement enough to keep going. And that, when I started, I used to go just to the Comedy Store. It's the only place I would go was Sunday nights. They did open mic.
LA?
So I didn't, no, down here, up in La Jolla.
Okay.
I didn't get up every Sunday, but I would sign up. And the nights I went up there, like I said, it's not like I ever always wanted to be a comic. It wasn't a dream of mine. It was just something I wanted to do. So I didn't know, like I wasn't familiar with how to be a comic, how to do comic things. So every single week, I would write a brand new 3 minutes. And so I would just tell a brand new 3 minutes every time I went up. And I'm watching these other comics do the same jokes week after week. I'm like, I told that joke last week. What the fuck's he doing? Like, I didn't understand you're supposed to work on it and hone it and get it tight and everything. I'm like, nah, fuck that. New material every week.
Need your take 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So you would just did you then say, wait, let me go back and then start putting this together? Like, I mean, from open mic to deciding to make that decision to you feeling that you had a good, like, 8-10 minute set, how long does that take for you?
Again, mine was weird because I only went to the one club. I didn't really hang out and socialize with the comics. I was doing just open mics at La Jolla for almost 2 years. And then I took a little break. I was just like, wasn't that I was over it. I was just kind of like, okay, I just can't keep this up anymore. And so I stopped for about a year and a half. And then a buddy of mine who I knew from comedy was like, hey, I'm doing a show. Can you do 8 minutes? I was like, yeah, no problem. So I dusted off some old material and did 8 minutes. And it was like, having not done it for a year and a half prior, it was really fun. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I've been doing it ever since then. You know, that was like, I knew I could do 8 minutes. So then it was the push. I can do 10. I can do 15. It does take a little while.
If you put all together all your material, do you think, could you do an hour right now?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, let me turn this off. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I don't want Pixar to try to, like, say that I'm trying to, like, copyright their material because my nephew was watching Toy Story in the back. So you could do a full hour. Would it be weird because it's from different segments of or like parts of your career? Do you think that you changed as a comic, or do you think you just put that all together and make it work?
I definitely changed as a comic, but I mean, and most comics, you don't just go up and do an hour cold. Like you have it mapped out. You know what the routine is. You know pretty much the order of all the jokes. Like some comics can riff for quite a while, and some comics can jump around. But a lot of us, me in particular, I'm like, I need to have my roadmap of where I'm going to be. So I lay it all out beforehand. So I make sure the jokes all fit together. I make sure that certain material leads into other material. I can do a little callback at the end, stuff like that. Yeah, I could, if I mapped it all out, no problem. I've actually done 45 minutes a few times. But I have more material than that.
Do you think that the theory that most comedians, when they start out, are really kind of, imitating somebody until they find their voice? Or do you think that it's the opposite, that people are kind of, that might be like, overstated maybe?
It definitely happens. I feel like it does happen, but not as often as people might think. Because we'll be like, there's probably like 500 people in San Diego that would call themselves a stand-up comic. And I know most of them. And so we'll all be at a club for an open mic or a local show or whatever, and somebody new goes up. We can all tell right away, like, oh, he thinks he's Bill Burr. Oh, she's trying to do, whoever.
Whitney or somebody.
Yeah. And so it doesn't happen that often. Most people go up and have no idea what their voice is. It takes a while to find your voice, which is why open mics are notoriously brutal, because people don't know what the hell they're doing. They're going up there and telling stuff that might make their buddies laugh, like at work, but you tell it to an audience and it's, what the fuck is this? So,
but if it would seem that to me, like, because I've always sort of thought like it probably is easier to say I could write 3 minutes pretending I'm Seinfeld than figuring out what's Lou going to go up on stage and talk about for 3 minutes, right? It's almost a little bit easier to if you're like, I'm going to do Bill Burr, and then I'm going to be like, I'm going to do Dave Chappelle, I'm going to do this,
right?
For me, it'd be kind of like a mix between like Mitch Hedberg and Bill Hicks.
I love Mitch Hedberg, dude. He was great.
But I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I think, again, in my experience, what I've seen, most people might be inspired by someone in particular, but they're not trying to be that person. They're trying to do what that person does, and that is a difference. Like, you can tell when someone is trying to be Jerry Seinfeld versus someone's thinking they can be as funny as Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess obviously as somebody myself that has always considered themselves like sit down funny, like funny in a situation, funny reaction, funny reacting to stuff. I riff, I can make my friends laugh. I've always been afraid to take that extra step.
Yeah.
Like I did improv, I've acted. I'm not afraid to talk or to be control of a situation, you know what I mean? But I've always thought that when I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on stage and this is what I think is funny.
Right.
I get scared. Like there's definitely an extra step of putting yourself out there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's weird too, because it almost depends on when and where you do it. Because having a good crowd, when you've got a good crowd at a show, they're incredibly generous with what they'll give laughs to. So you could go up and do kind of awful, and the crowd will still laugh because, they know you're an entertainer and they know you're trying to make them laugh. And so they'll kind of give you the laughs. They won't laugh as much as they would for a good comic, but they'll still. So if you get in a situation like that, sometimes it gives people false confidence, as opposed to going up at an open mic where the only other people there are mostly comics and they're not going to laugh at anything you say because they, they're comics too. Like, no, that's a stupid joke. This doesn't work.
How bad would your first night have to have gone for you to decide, no, I'm done? I mean, because obviously you had a good response your first time up, right?
Yeah.
So how bad would it have to be for you to be like, maybe I was wrong?
I don't know, because if I had bombed really bad, like if I just got crickets for 3 minutes and no one responded and it was like obvious to everyone that I sucked, I would want to quit. But I also like, I'm part Irish. I got that Irish stubborn in me where I'd be like, you know what? Fuck those people. I'm going to go back and do it better.
They can laugh at me all they want or laugh at me because I'm horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Elaine says, stopping by to say, what's up? Thank you for joining the stream, Elaine. I guess it all comes down to like, once you decide you want to do it, were you in a career where you were going in a separate direction and you shifted rapidly, or were you kind of just not sure what you wanted to do and it just sort of popped up?
Well, comedy, I've been doing it, holy shit, almost 14 years.
Fuck.
Yeah, back to when I first started. And it has never been a quote-unquote career for me. Like for most of us, it's pretty rare to make a living at comedy. There's like maybe 4 or 5 comics I know personally from San Diego who make a living at it. There's more who make decent money at that helps pay the bills.
Right.
But then there's like me where like, pre-quarantine during a normal year.
We can't all get a national soap commercial, right there.
Yeah, exactly. Soapy Joe's isn't hiring everyone, So I make, I'd
Dr.
give them
Sasquatch, right?
$100 out of
Oh,
comedy.
okay. But I've seen you go on the road, like the Southwest, the Northwest, stuff like that. You started getting into some of these sort of tours and stuff.
Yes, yeah. The Northwest was a lot of fun. Up in Portland, I got put in touch with a booker up there, and it honestly took me about 1.5 years of like kind of nagging her to get a spot before I finally got booked on one of her little tours up there. And it's fun. It's a Wednesday show. 2 shows on a Wednesday, then a Friday and a Saturday. So it's 4 shows over like a 4-day weekend, which once you include travel and all that shit, it's kind of a break-even thing.
Yeah.
But that's how it is starting on the road. You break even to get your name out there, to get other people to see you, to get fans in other parts of the country, and just build on that.
Build relationships, get other bookers or club managers to see you. Oh, this guy from California, at least I can put him on a Thursday through Sunday nights, and he can at least, keep the crowd going. He's not going to, do any racist material, stuff like that.
Right.
I can trust this guy. And if I needed somebody to play a racist sheriff in a movie, I think I can handle it.
I got it.
So, life of a starting comic, 2 years open mics. Mostly I would say audiences and those things are at least 50% other comics, right?
Well, again, it depends on where you go, because I was going to the Comedy Store where even their open mic was pretty much mostly normal people.
Okay.
There's a bunch of comics, but it was mostly normal people. So it's like a legit start. Going to someplace like the Store is like a great way to start. And you could definitely, get into doing real shows, you know, like bigger sets, 8-minute sets, 10-minute sets, even getting paid for it, you can do that much quicker than 2 years. I just took that weird path where I didn't want to go to other clubs, didn't want to do other shit.
But I'm saying in general for a comic, once you pay your dues, so to speak, in the open mic, then if you're not doing virtual stuff and you're not doing stuff that's going viral, then you need to catch the attention of the, I guess, booking person or the club manager so that you can get some spots not on open mics, right? I guess that's step one where you can sort of start calling yourself a comic.
Yeah, pretty much. That was actually a weird spot to be in for the past, I want to say 4 years. I was one of 2 bookers at the Madhouse Comedy Club. And so it's a really funny dynamic because, you know, as a comic, I know all the other comics. I know comics up in LA. So it's kind of a funny dynamic to be like, oh, does this comic really like me as a person? Or are they just being nice because they want me to book them at my club?
Yeah, dude, that's me when I walk on every set because everybody wants to be nice to the director. And I've never walked on set and somebody told you, oh, the script is horrible. I walk on set. Oh, you wrote the script? Oh, it was wonderful. It was great. And you can never, as a director, you can never tell if actors, actresses, people are being nice to you or if they just want to make sure that they're on the director's good side.
Right, exactly.
So that's why a lot of directors get their head up their ass and they're like, "Oh, she's into me." I'm like, "No, you're the director. You're the writer." Yeah. They're probably just being nice.
Yeah, they're greasing the wheels right now.
They're greasing the wheels right now. In terms of, because obviously this started several years ago with like the Joe Rogan and Sia stuff up in LA, but the internet has made it both super easy to steal people's jokes and materials and also super fast for people to catch people stealing jokes and materials. Like on Twitter, every week there's like somebody will put up like a hot take and then the guy's like, yeah, I wrote this yesterday. You could at least tell me about it. Like you didn't even change one thing about it. Is there a certain part of that that's just groupthink, multiple people thinking about the same thing at the same time? Because, you know, like, okay, something happens and then in my mind, sometimes you'll be like, oh, somebody's going to make a meme out of this with X, Y, or Z. But if you're the first person that does that, you're brilliant. If you're the 99th person that does it, you're just regurgitating garbage that we've already seen already, right?
Right.
It's a thin line.
Sometimes it just depends on how late you got there. Mm-hmm. Like you might have come up with that original awesome take first, but you didn't see it before 100 other people saw it.
Right.
And so, you're out of luck.
And you don't have enough followers.
Right. Yeah. Joke, parallel thinking is what they call it. Parallel thinking is definitely a thing. I've lost bits to.
I know you said that. You told me something about it. You told me. I remember you posting something about it, like a bit that you had done and somebody else was doing it.
Yeah, there were several. I was doing a bit that I really, really liked. It was a good close. It was like a 3-minute joke, and a friend of mine was like, "Dude, John Heffern has that same joke." And so he's not an A-list comic, but he's well known. He tours. He makes a living at. He's a well-known name. So I watched his video, and it was very, very similar. But the thing that bugged me was like my joke was better. I'm like, oh, I did it so much better than he did. But I lost a joke to Doug Stanhope. I actually drove down to Bisbee to see him live a few years ago. And I had a joke about the Make-A-Wish kids. And the whole joke that the way I did it was like, fuck those kids. What do they need hair for? They're not going to an office where they're trying to impress somebody. And it ended up being like an ironic take where I hate myself. I don't really hate the kids. I hate myself. And so I go to see Doug Stanhope do his thing. And one of his jokes is like, fuck those Make-A-Wish kids. I was like, God damn it. But his was way better than mine. So his credit, he had a much better version than I did. But that's happened to me with Louis C.K., with Dane Cook, all kinds of shit.
It's happened with us with Saturday Night Live. They did a hot aliens come down to have sex with human males and to liquefy them, which is like directly from Alien Story, my movie, and they did that actually I think 2 weeks ago on the cold opening. A comedian on Twitter was talking about the election, and then she was like, "This must be what fucking Sting is like," and Jim Carrey used that at the end of his Joe Biden thing. Like they used the exact same joke.
Funny.
So I mean, all I know is that at NBC the Wi-Fi is really good because the writers got no problem getting on that internet looking for stuff. I mean, they got a short window though. They got to write new material, so some of that's going to be groupthink. But then there's the low-lying fruit, right? There's the low-lying fruit. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is the difference between kind of like the comedian's comedian and what like the cool kids consider a hack to be. Because for a while it was like, well, a hack is somebody that uses prop comics are considered hacks, like people. But then there's also this low-lying fruit where you think of a scenario and it's like, it's kind of like that's what she said, right? It's the first layer of jokes that you see that when you think about a subject. Right. And similar to like meme culture, where if you're the first one that say it, you're brilliant, but you're the 100th person you say you're not, do you as a comic have to get to that point where you, like as a writer, as a filmmaker, I know that my first 2 or 3 drafts of a script are going to suck because it's going to be derivative of something that I had in the back of my mind, something that I saw. It's going to be some dialogue that I'm copying from somewhere. Right. So I know until I get to that 4th and 5th rewrite where I'm like, okay, let me really make it my own. Do you as a comic have to get to that point where you think of something that's funny, but you have to sort of push past that to find something that's deeper that somebody else hasn't already said, or that you think is not too easy?
It's kind of always a concern. And like to your point about when you write and you kind of have stuff in the back of your head that you have to work through, that's one of the main reasons I don't watch comedy specials. Like I don't watch Chappelle, I don't watch Bill Burr, I don't watch Louis, because I don't want to like subconsciously steal some jokes. You know what I mean? Like it's just a concern that I have personally. I'll watch a special once in a while, but I don't make it a habit of watching comedy specials because I don't want stuff to like seep into my brain and then come out somewhere else and be like, oh shit, I stole that from somebody. But yeah, it's always a concern. Like whenever you come up with a good idea as a comic, you're probably first thought is like, fuck, I wonder if somebody else already did this. And you kind of poke around a little bit and look and check things out. Ask your friends, hey, does this sound familiar? And sometimes like, yeah, that's a Louis C.K. bit or whatever. Other times,
it's my bit, motherfucker. How do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to instantaneously know you want to steal that person's joke if they come to me. Hey, I told you that the other day we were high. You're like, oh, yeah. Zoink. Give me that. No? But does that happen, though, where you're like, no, this first premise it's way too low lying for me. There's got to be something past that. Or do you just take it and just say, fuck it, it's funny?
I'll tend to go with fuck it, it's funny. If it's really super low hanging fruit, then I mean that's kind of part of the joke in my opinion. Is like, hey, look at this fucking easy joke I just came up with. It kind of almost makes it funny that you're like playing off it.
You posted one the other day what was it the other day where you were saying Mickey Mouse hands on my
yeah.
What was it?
I hate one-liners, but every once in a while I think of a one-liner. That's pretty funny. And so I just posted the stats. All it says was like, Mickey Mouse hands, not on my watch.
I don't know why. I think that's so fucking hilarious. I just like that. It's silly. That's like a Mitch Hedberg type, like totally. So it's like you're definitely like channeling like his voice there, but right. It's something that you don't necessarily are like, oh, I want to hold on to this. I'm not going to put it anywhere because I want to use it in my stand up as a transition or something like that. Right? You're just like, let's just put that out in the universe because I don't think it's like earth shattering, right?
And but that's also something. It's weird because it's kind of both a blessing and a curse. Being a comic is like some bits you think of like that, like you couldn't tell that on stage, but as a comic, you still think it's funny. So you have Twitter for that, and you're like, all right, so yeah, you'll write some stuff that like wouldn't work on stage, but it's still funny. So like the benefit is you have social media to share that with other people, and hopefully people think you're funny, get more followers, whatever. But the drawback is like, well, it's never going to get anything out of this. It's kind of just like a waste of words. But
and do you think that that sort of standard of how that word gets thrown around, hack, has changed recently? To what it is, because you can say what you want about Carrot Top, but the dude pulled in millions just going around doing his thing, and
Yeah, dude, it kills me just a little bit inside when I realize the fact that Jeff Dunham is like the most popular comic in the country. I'm like, dude, he's a puppets. Come on, are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? But it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people like that shit, and it's a drag. But yeah, for comics, there's definitely like this. I don't want to say snobbery about it, but there's like a little bit of like, props, that's hack. You know, using like playing a guitar, that's suspect. Stuff like that.
Work for Sandler. He's laughing all the way to the bank with the with the guitar. No, I mean, it's. I got caught up in a back and forth, and because I called somebody a hack for a joke that they made, and they were like, "Oh well, you think I'm a hack? You haven't seen every fucking movie that you've ever done." And I was like, "Whoa, you're calling me a hack?" So I was like, I was like, easy Gilbert or something, and he was like, "Oh, I don't get that reference, but that's on brand for you." And I was like, "Well, I can't be a hack and then also use vague references. That doesn't. Those aren't. I'm not. I can't be Andy Hoffman and fucking Carrot Top at the same time. So it's. I always feel like it's weird that there is this snobbery to it. There's also truth to it because that shit is hacky.
Right.
But do comedians expect that they're going to be doing comedy to other cool, funny, smart people? Because I guess that's the difference. The people that are like you and that have that same sort of sense of humor and stuff are going to only gravitate to the cool comics that sort of have that stuff. But there's a whole world of just very vanilla, very like lower IQ people out there, and they like to laugh too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want to make it as a comic, you definitely go for the low hanging fruit. But most of us don't do that because we want to, sort of make our mark. You don't just want to follow the path and be like, let me do this. There's so many comics who make like 6 figures a year doing like corporate gigs and college gigs and stuff like that you've never heard of them. But they make that money because they play to that broad base, that really low hanging fruit, like you said, that vanilla, and they just scoop that shit up. And hey, props to them. But most comics that I know, we start to find our own voice, and we're like, well, my voice isn't middle America, so I'm not going that route. Yeah, no, and I guess you get to that. Do you ever because like if like I don't like what's like the puffy guy Iglesias. I just like, man, I'm just like, he's so fucking popular and stuff. Like when I'm like, when I was thinking about doing comedy, I was like doing some like this thing about whether I was a comic or a fat comic, and then I realized every fat comic had that same bit because I was like, and I was just like, okay, I was like, I think a lot of that fat stuff's already been said, but if you say it in a funny way, you can make a lot of money. Yeah. Well, even if it's not even about the money, it's about like rising above the hack level. Cause like men are like this, women are like this. It's so hack, but you can still come up with a good take on it where somebody's like, oh shit, no one's done that one yet. That's really cool. Everyone has jokes about dating or being married or having kids. So if you can come up with like a fresh take on it or something that hasn't been said before, that takes you out of hack territory up and like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Like there's so many comics, even just in San Diego, I can't imagine around the country. There's so many comics who will start their set just remarking about how weird they look. Like, hey, this is how I look, or hey, I look like this, fuck this, or I look like whatever. And I mean, it's kind of hack, but they're trying to find that angle that hasn't been covered yet. Yeah, it's like a self-deprecation as a bit, right? To sort of just start that off, like, or if they have some obvious, different, or they're different, they have, whatever. No, that I noticed that too. But is that what do you think is the biggest mistake that new comics make? Is to stick with it. Get away from comedy, man. It's awful. You'll never make any money. You suck. You're never going to get anywhere. Let it go, man. One of the mistakes that some comics make is going down the path of being a comics comic. Like when you get into a lot of open mics, will be, like you said earlier, will be all comics. There's not much of an audience there. It's just comics waiting for their time on stage to be able to practice their shit. And the way you get laughs in that situation is by being kind of meta and making references and doing jokes, like stuff that comics can relate to. So you start playing to the back of the room. And some comics run with that. And like they become like, they perform to other comics and other comics think they're funny. You put them on a real show with a real audience, it doesn't go anywhere because an audience can't relate to any of that shit.
They're trying to impress the 5 cool kids instead of the 40 normal people, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I think, yeah, I can see that. Not everybody's going to be freaking, who's the comics coming out? What, Gilbert, Norm, right? Is that like what do you think is the, so besides Dunham, who do you think is like the most overrated comic?
Overrated?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. Because I like all the ones that are like, I think Louis is great. All his personal troublesome issues aside, he's a great joke writer and great performer. I love Bill Burr is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Chelsea Peretti has still the best comedy special I've ever seen. She's freaking hilarious. And then there's ones that are on. But as far as overrated, I don't know, looking back, Dane Cook wasn't as funny as we thought he was back then. Or is it?
Uh-oh. You were lagging there for a second, Dave.
Oh. Let me do
you were,
that again.
You're saying, yeah, Dane Cook?
Yeah, Dane Cook. It's I don't know. I feel like a lot of people feel this way, where it's when you first heard about Dane Cook, or you first saw Dane Cook or heard him, you're like, this is fucking hilarious. But then a few years go by, you go back and listen to it again, you're like, you know what? It wasn't that funny.
Yeah, definitely. Well, honestly, I had a little. I was like, okay, this is kind of funny, but in a college sort of way, I guess, like a bro type of way. And then when I knew that he was doing the "You Suck at Photoshop" videos. And then I was like, okay, that's actually I think is funny.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, when people are watching what's that movie with him and Kevin Costner where he gets killed and everybody's like,
oh yeah, that was his first dramatic role or whatever. Yeah. That's
an underrated movie though. But that's a new list. Underrated movies with horrible comedians in it.
Yeah.
That would have been 10 times better. Movies that would have been 10 times better without Dane Cook in them.
That's a good category.
Yeah, that's a good. So no car shows, no Zoom shows for you. You work a lot of different kind of different gig-ish types jobs, and then just try to just do the list and stuff like that on the side. But what are you looking forward to the most after COVID? Doing another tour again? Just being in front of a full house?
God, being in front of an actual live audience would be amazing. Oh my God, that would be so nice. That'd be so nice. And like I said, I've done a handful of actual live shows. They've been outdoors. They've been limited capacity, social distance. Those people are just so excited to be out at entertainment that they're just stoked to be there. So it's so much fun. The energy is great. It's a good time. I'm really looking forward to live shows coming back.
Yeah, I did an interview with somebody from the San Diego Opera, and they did shows at the Vieja Center parking lot and stuff like that. They were and people were coming out there, $200 a carload. They're like, "Fuck it, we want to go. I need to get the fuck out the house.
Yeah,
let's get 7 people in the car, and let's go watch some fucking opera." I'm assuming that people are excited at least about the different shows and stuff like that. Right. Acting wise, because you've acted on a couple of films.
I've acted on a couple of films.
We showed one at the beginning, but I want to show another scene by Dave that we had. This is an outtake. This is not the outtakes. This is actual footage from a movie that we did together called The Skinner Project. Something that I started but ran out of money for. It happens a lot in independent films. That's still an intellectual property that we have. Hit me up, Netflix. But in this scene, it won't be a spoiler, but Dave is having his arm carved off. But I want you to see what natural acting talent he has. And this is a scene from Skinner.
Camera speed.
Scene 8, shot 1A, take 1.
I'm the last right.
Yeah, so cue blood on the floor. Okay, Isaac. Okay.
Cut.
Now,
Is that okay?
Yeah.
is he in pain?
Yeah. That's
No, I was just waiting for the.
Is he in pain?
What, you never had your arm cut off? It doesn't
You
feel
know,
anything.
yeah, come on, that's happened all the time. I think you were probably thinking that the camera was on your face and that we were just
No,
getting
I
that
didn't.
shot or
I didn't
something.
think we were going yet. I didn't think we
Yeah.
were going.
Now you were-
I kept looking at the camera and looking at the camera. But I will tell you what, I remember the takes that were better than that I was
Okay.
actually trying to act, and it was still not good. Like I was not good at pretending my arm was
No,
getting cut off.
you were not very good. All right, let's watch a little bit more. There you go, Dave. Very calm as his arm gets completely cut off.
I was asleep. Which, by the way, just behind the scenes note, they actually cut my arm off for that shot, and I had it
man.
surgically reattached.
That's commitment, man. That's like, Pacino
But
gaining
dude, I
60
remember
pounds.
sitting in that garage and trying to film that scene, and just like none of my takes were any good, and I was just so self-conscious about it. In my head, I was like, "Fuck, I'm really fucking this up."
No, I think in the end, I cut away right before we got to your face and just like covered it up with just screams, and then just not looking at your face, just like because you did, some of this. Yeah, you think, or maybe I just replace it with like that. What is it? The Wilhelm scream or the
Wilhelm scream.
That would be just another inside joke inside of an inside joke. But you didn't do that bad. You didn't do that bad. But
I remember the way I remembered that was not good. But you're a film buff like me. You remember some of the backstory on Clerks?
Yeah.
There's that scene, the first scene of the show, Jay and Silent Bob just dancing. It's like just a static camera showing them against the wall. There's music playing, and Jay starts dancing. And the trivia behind that is Jason Mewes was so like shy about stuff that no one could watch him. So they set the camera on a tripod. Everyone had to leave, and only then would he do the dance. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel. Like if I'm needed to act, I'm like, oh, all these people are watching me. I can't act when people are watching me. Fucking what the fuck? I'm just so self-conscious about it. It's awful.
No, I think that number one, you're always down for whatever on a movie, so that's good. Getting punched, whatever the bit may be. And there's been a bunch of other times that I wanted you in projects, but it just didn't fit because of work or gigs and stuff like that. So,
oh, dude, the Doritos commercial, that was fun.
Oh yeah, you know what? I should have pulled that up. Damn, my bad.
That was for Super Bowl a while back, right?
Yeah, that one we did two different ones. One of them got accepted. The other one got rejected because we had somebody tied up in a trunk, and it was you couldn't depict any acts of violence. Although the premise of that one was hilarious because he opens the trunk, there's a chicken there, but then he looks to the left and there's a bag of Doritos. He's like, "Oh, you got red Doritos?" And they were like, the guy wrote me back. They're like, "This is hilarious, but it's disqualified because of an act of violence." I was like, "All right, fair enough." So you can find me here in San Diego. One of the things that we had to deal with, obviously, is Comic-Con shutting down. And one of the best things that I like about Comic-Con is hearing about your adventures at different fucking parties and shit, and the never-ending attempt to try to meet people at different events, which always goes horribly awry.
Yeah.
But what did you miss the most about missing Comic-Con, or what were you most bummed about? The cosplay, the parties, what was it?
I just love being in it. I love being like surrounded by like all the new movie stuff, the TV shows, the comic books, the games. I love just being in that stuff and seeing. I've got friends who come from out of town every year. That's the only time I see them. It's like 3 different guys I see every year, sometimes more. But so I didn't get to see them, didn't get to see any of the cool stuff and just experience all that. And of course, biggest bummer, didn't get to hang out with Olivia Munn because she's super cool and she always hangs out with us every year.
Yeah.
But that was a drag. And actually, you'll appreciate this as a director and an actor. Last year at Comic-Con, 2019, my buddy clued me into one of the hotels where a lot of actors stayed at. So we'd go and like post up in the lobby and
Yeah, that's the
wait for people
move.
to come in.
Yeah, that's the
And
move. You just
so-
go to the different hotel bars.
Oh yeah. And I actually met the cast from Bob's Burgers one year doing that. They were really chill.
Yes.
But
I,
when this actor comes in and I recognized him, you know John Slattery?
No.
He was in Mad Men. He was Don Draper's like mentor.
The
Older
white
dude
hair?
with white hair. Yeah.
The white hair? Yeah.
So he comes into the lobby and I'm like, hey, are you who I think you are? And he's like, probably. Who do you think I am? And I'm like, you were in Wet Hot American Summer. And he's like, I did not think you were going to say that movie. Because he had like 5 minutes in that movie, but that's what I remembered him from.
Yeah, that's the best one. You gotta hit him with the fucking deep cut if you're gonna say
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah,
You gotta-
totally.
You gotta get it. You can't be like, I remember you from this, It's like going up to DiCaprio. Oh man, what's eating Gilbert Grape? And he's like, really? You're gonna pick that one? You couldn't have even picked like A Boy's Life. That's another list. Movies that top actors are embarrassed about.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that'd be a good list.
That'd be dope. Do you see yourself on a Saturday midday realistically next year with the same amount of people that we normally have at con, or do you think they're gonna have to scale it back to like the way it is like on a preview night where you don't have people like right here, they're like a couple of feet away? Like, where do you think that do you think we have a regular con next year?
No, definitely not. 100% not. It'll either be limited capacity or
Which means people are really going to be out there sucking dick for tickets.
Totally.
There's going to be a lot of random dicks getting sucked for people trying to get into those places.
Well, the plus side for that is how long have you been going to Comic-Con?
I would go sporadically since I moved to California and I've been here for like 19 years. So I would go back in the day sometimes when they would let the people that came dressed up as stormtroopers kind of play security guards.
Okay.
Like they would do shit like that, and it was like more mellow, and you could just show up and walk in and stuff like that.
I've been going every year since 2003.
Okay, so around the same time.
Yeah, back then it wasn't crowded. You could buy tickets the day of.
The day of, yeah.
You could buy tickets for the following year for all 4 nights plus preview night for like $50 for the whole thing.
Yeah. You could watch the news like Saturday and be like, "Oh, Comic-Con's this weekend. Oh, I'm gonna go down there tomorrow."
Drive down there.
Yeah.
And then as it blew up, like probably 2010 was the last time that I got full badge for all the days. And after that, it was like 1 night or 2 nights of borrowing a badge from a buddy. So this year, what year is it? 2020 was the first time in a decade that I got all 4 nights plus preview night.
Fuck.
But they said that's going to carry over to next year. So
yeah. Well,
something happens.
Keithan Jones and he's a local comic book artist. I had him on the pod a month ago. He was actually going to be a featured artist this year. Like he was going to be one of the featured Comic-Con artists. They were going to he was going to have like panels and all kinds of shit, and he was going to get VIP treatment. And they told him, yeah, we're going to carry it over till next year.
Yeah.
Did you already have a cosplay in mind for this year?
I don't usually cosplay. I just did it a couple times just for fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would have done one this year. I did. I think the first one I did was Harley Quinn. I got the red and black costume and the face makeup, and I did. You watch Rick and Morty? Yeah, I did.
Absolutely.
Buff Rick from when him and Summer took steroids and beat up all the jerks.
Yeah, I got you that fucking Pickle Rick shirt I caught that year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No. I was thinking about. Do you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna just wear like a black A shirt, right, like a wife beater, and a beanie, and then be Unskinny Pete.
I like it.
Either
you heard
that
the
or
Bryan Cranston story, right?
Yeah, that he walked around like fucking
dressed as himself.
Dressed as himself, yeah, and so did old Spider-Man and whatnot. That dude walked around in fucking Spider-Man content like for 4 hours, like all good. Yeah, but I don't see how they could do like because I'm sorry, but if somebody walked in, if they didn't know COVID was a thing and they found out 2 days after Comic-Con would have infected the entire universe.
Yeah,
because you literally are on a busy like on a Friday like at 2 p.m. If you're walking across to the convention center, you're never for the next 3-4 hours. You're never more than a foot away from somebody.
Right.
Whether
Yeah.
unless you're in the bathroom or like in the far corners, if you're in the mix, there is somebody a foot away from you always.
Yeah, if Comic-Con, if like you said, they didn't know about COVID and COVID started at Comic-Con, Comic-Con would be the opening scene of I Am Legend.
Yeah,
Like,
they would trace it back to Comic-Con, and that would be
Yeah.
like, and then just show how they went back all over the world, and that was it. Okay, and give me a second here. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you about. So, Mr. Callans, the only thing that's left is to turn the tables on the list maker because I made a list myself.
Oh shit.
And everybody knows, and by everybody I know a couple of people. But give me a second here. Where are my tabs? Everybody knows that to end the show, we always do a bracket bit. Bracket bit is where I turn the tables on my guest. Well, I've actually been asking you questions the entire time, so it's not a thing. But where I give you a this or that bracket bit style so that we can take a look at what you decide moves on to the next round. And since you are a comedian, we're going to do an online bracket of 2 a.m. burritos. And this is just my list, so I compiled a big list of comics that I like.
Okay.
And you can tell me which one moves on to the next round in terms of how good they are as a stand-up. Because, like, you know, I see there's people kind of like Eddie or Robin Williams. Like, Robin Williams was an incredibly energetic stand-up, but I think he's remembered more as a performer and as an actor, right?
Right.
But even though you could say, you know, they're one of the most brilliant stand-ups because of his energy, they said he also took a lot of people's jokes, like not even knowing it, because he was just like caught up in these bits and stuff, and he would say something he remembered. But
well, he was also he had a reputation as like actively stealing jokes, like
right,
not even subconsciously, like, oh, I'm going to take that joke, that's mine now.
I know, it got him Mork and Mindy, right? Like, like some of these things people are like, but all right, man. And then you can tell me if you want to, because obviously the whole reason I want to talk to you about was comedy. So if you want to stop and kind of give me your thoughts on any of these people, then go ahead. All right. All right. So we're going to do a quick intro. All right. Let me just catch up. Thank you everyone for watching. The Enslaved by Vegetables was watching. He's also from Michigan. Enslaved by Vegetables. Oh, I met him before at the Doritos commercial shoot. And aren't most people at Comic-Con already wearing masks, and for the most part throughout their whole lives because social distance from them anyway. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think Comic-Con is uniquely equipped to say, all right, we're going to steer into this cosplay. You know, we're going to...
Cosplay is required.
Cosplay is fucking required. Or have like a cosplay day and then like a nerd day and then just let all the people buy their fucking shit online the day before. Because that's all you see Thursday and Friday is people leaving out of there with just bags and bags of exclusives. Yeah. Like, what's the fucking point of having them do that? All right, Dave, we're going to do the bracket bit.
All right.
Bracket bit. All right, in the comedian bracket bit that you will have to choose what comedian moves on, we're going to have opening first round seed Dave Chappelle versus Rodney Dangerfield. This is actually a really tough first round matchup for Dave.
God damn,
Rodney Dangerfield
is a fucking killer matchup right there.
I don't know how Rodney got such a low seed, but you know what? There's a lot of really good comedians out there, so you know, let's
yeah.
Unfortunately, this is a rough one. I don't know if Chappelle makes it past, but he is a legend. So is Rodney.
Here's the thing: Chappelle right now is largely considered by both comics and normal people. He's pretty much considered the GOAT right now.
Yeah,
and he's fantastic. He's great. He's amazing. Yeah. I don't want to say that he's overrated, but I will say that a lot of the Netflix specials he put out over recent years, I did check some of them out, and a couple of them are
sacrilege,
just like,
Dave, sacrilege.
Some of the specials were overrated.
It's a little Dave infamy there.
But Chappelle's amazing. I love that dude. He's fucking amazing. Now, as far as Rodney goes,
but then again, is Rodney more loved because of his movies than
that's
his
what I was going to say.
stand-up?
You know, you got him in Caddyshack, you got him in Back to School, and as far as the stand-up goes, it was classic, but what do you know about Rodney's stand-up other than I don't get no respect? Like, there's no memorable stuff that he did other than that.
Bit. If you're going to have one bit, it's a good one to have, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad bit, but it's like, that was his, you might be a redneck if. It's like, okay, so based on that, I think Rodney's more loved in movies, so I'm putting Dave ahead.
All right. Joan Rivers. Now, obviously, she's more known like as a guest. She did the Late Show, but she was also an established comedian. And Roseanne, who also I still remember some of Roseanne's stand-up bits where she was, talking shit about like golfing, but she would do it in a really cool way. So Joan or Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne was interesting because when she came out, she was kind of she was kind of a big deal when she came out. She had the whole bit about I'm not a housewife, I'm a domestic goddess, and she had like that whole Midwest housewife vibe. Like she wasn't a star comic. She was like, hey, this is a regular chick who's saying stuff that we all think and ways we can relate to. Joan, like you said, she might be more known for the red carpet, but her career is so long and so legendary. And even the red carpet stuff, she's riffing on stuff live and in the moment. She's making up quips. She's capping on people. She's joking constantly. Based on the strength of that alone, I'm going with Joan. Like she's so fast and she's so good.
Now here's a tough one. Some say Kevin Hart is overrated and Stephen Wright is underrated, understated. That's the next matchup. Kevin Hart, Stephen Wright.
Kevin Hart. I love Kevin Hart. One of the funniest bits I ever saw him do was several specials ago when he was talking about he's a grown man, but he sits on a stool and his feet swing. Like can't touch the ground.
I'm a grown-ass little man.
Yeah. And also he stole that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin when he was the angry customer talking to Romany Malco. He stole that scene in a great movie. But his comedy, I feel like, is not always on point. It's not always great. Stephen Wright, on the other hand, although like he's not around anymore, it's like he's not on the scene. When he was on the scene, it was just epic. He was legendary. I'd go Stephen Wright over Kevin all day.
I tried skiing the other day. It was a bitch getting that boat up the mountain. What was that one? If I could just remember, like right away, Stephen Wright. All right. Sarah Silverman, or one of my favorites, Mitch Hedberg.
God damn it! That's a meaner matchup than Dave and Rodney.
That's a tough one.
That's a really tough one. Jesus.
Sarah's great, man.
Sarah's fantastic.
But Mitch is like boom, boom.
Mitch
and just the fact that he was just like the fact that he couldn't even look up at the fucking audience, man. And
yeah. Like Sarah, one of my favorite bits of hers, and this is one of those things, if I ever got famous, this clip I'm about to say could come out and cancel me. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite jokes of hers was she used to say that she was trying to get out of jury duty. And she said that if you want to get out of jury duty, you should say something about a specific race. And they'll say, you're not qualified. And she's like, so I was going to say I hate chinks. But she's like, I don't want to be mean, though. So I just said I love chinks. And so they disqualified me. And I'm like, I just thought that was a cute, fun twist on being a racist.
She can find the angles.
Mitch Hedberg, Mitch is an all-time great for me. I got to go Mitch on that matchup.
Absolutely. Rock had one of the best. I think Tangerine was over. I didn't like Tangerine. CK obviously has his personal issues, but man, he goes to places that other comics don't.
Yeah.
He goes to places that most comics are like, I don't even really want to deal in this territory. And he goes there, he finds something there, and he fucking makes you laugh about it.
Yeah. Like Rock is great. Rock, one of the best bits that pops to mind for me is we don't need gun control, we need bullet control. Like a bullet should cost $5,000.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot your ass next week when I save some money.
And when he cut that comedy show where it was 3 different performances at 3 different locations, I thought
that was cool.
Nobody else has ever done anything like that. People have done different types of shows, but that's like the first time I ever saw that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. On the other hand, Louis, like you said, he goes places. He did an SNL monologue. Monologue on national television where he talked about child molesters.
Yeah. He said if we were nicer to child molesters, there'd be less child molestation.
He's like, I don't
know what to do with that.
He's like, back in the 70s, you're just like, oh yeah, the molester lives there. It's not a big deal. We know who he is. Yeah, it's a tough call, but I got to go Louis.
Louis C.K. moves on, and he's asking permission to do so. All right. I always loved, even though it was real simple, I loved Ellen's bits, man, when she would talk about, like, when people see you walk into a spider web from far away and they don't know it, and then makes you look like an idiot. Like, I don't know. I always liked your stand-up. Bernie Mac is a legend, though. And all these first-round matchups are fucking tough, man.
They are. We were talking about joke stealing like half an hour ago or something. At a club here several years ago, me and my friends, it was a comedy show, and so we're there hanging out, and one of the comics went on stage, and he was like, my grandma started walking a mile a day when she turned 85. That was 3 months ago. We don't know where the hell she is. And we're all like, dude, that's an Ellen DeGeneres joke. What the fuck are you doing? That's like word for word an Ellen DeGeneres joke, you piece of shit. It's a great joke, but
It's like, wait,
yeah.
you got to hear my calling God bit. Like,
But like you said, dude, Bernie is a fucking legend. I absolutely love Bernie. I put Bernie ahead.
all right. And then two people that burnt the candle at both ends, comedically, energetically, Kinnison or Williams.
I think you nailed it when you said Robin Williams is more beloved for his movies and just like his live, like riffing and just going off top of his head. Kinnison was, man, he was a heavy hitter back in the day. He was just solid. I love Kinnison. He was the first comedy show I went to see live.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see him early on in his career or towards the end or like?
He'd been coming up for a while. He was fairly big at the time.
Nice. Pete
But I'd
Kinnison.
go Kinnison on that.
All right, and then here we got some old timers. The insult comic, Rickles or Richard Pryor, which is, as you can see, he's one of the top 4 seeds because he's on the other side of Dave. So Pryor's somebody that's been pound for pound considered one of, like, if you're going to put a Mount Rushmore up, he's often mentioned. But Rickles is also your baby gorilla.
Yeah, they're tough matchup. Rickles is solid. He's classic. He's a legend. Pryor. I love Pryor. I was never a huge fan of his growing up, but he inspired a ton of comics that I love. Like Eddie Murphy used to joke about being inspired by Richard Pryor. I just think as far as legend stats 22, I'd lean towards Pryor.
Pryor. And I guess if there's a tiebreaker here, it would be, I guess, who you would rather see live. I guess that would be my definition of what the tiebreaker there if I was having a decision between them.
Oh, does that mean Gallagher's on the list? Is Gallagher coming up?
Yeah, you don't know. All right, I put Dennis Regan here because Something's Wrong with the Regan Boy is one of my all-time fucking comics. I don't think I've laughed. I think even though I don't know what you call him, but when he just changes position and just starts doing like his bits, like the big yellow one is the sun, like just like him and Something Wrong with the Regan Boy, one of my favorite, even though he's going up against fucking Eddie. Another one where it's like, hey, you got to watch his new shows. Like, I'm surprised more young people don't watch Raw and be like, whoa, I'm going to write an essay about how unwoke Eddie Murphy was in 1984. Still, in my heart, Regan has a shot. Obviously, Eddie is a goat as well. But this is not my bracket. This is Dave's bracket.
I don't know that I've seen Dennis Regan. I know Brian Regan.
Oh, is it Brian Regan? Did I miss him? I know there's both of them doing.
There's brothers. Brian is clearly the more famous one. Brian Regan is the.
I might have the name wrong, but whichever one did Something Wrong with the Regan Boy. That's my favorite. That's my favorite of the Regans.
Now, all due respect to Eddie, he was legendary, but he was more like a comet. Like he burned really bright, and then he fell off. Like I think Raw was the last great comedy that he did. And how long ago was that? Fucking forever ago.
He's been teasing us that he's coming back forever,
and plus, like you said, it did not age well. Whereas Regan, he's consistent. And my favorite thing about Brian Regan is he's a clean comic, but you don't realize it until after. Like a lot of clean comics are like, hey, look how clean I am or whatever. He just does his comedy and lets it speak for itself. And he goes ahead for sure.
All right. Eddie in an upset. See, this is how digital people do a whiteboard, Dave. None of this like writing behind me with smudges from like 18 different shows. Very clean, very crisp, All right. Patrice O'Neal, another fucking legend. I don't know if he's more of a legend in terms of stories and podcasts and stuff like that. And Paul Rodriguez, a nice, solid, non-cliche, in terms of like how I compare like fucking Mr. Puffy Boy. Paul Rodriguez or Patrice O'Neal, that's the next matchup.
Rodriguez is solid. Like you said, he's solid, but he's not, to me anyways, he's not like that next step above where he's like, oh, fuck, Paul Rodriguez is coming to town. Let's go. Yeah. Patrice is was the most unfiltered comic. Like, and that was his magic. It was like, he would just come up off the top of his head and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And he had like an amazing take on like everything he spoke about. I'd go Patrice on that one for sure.
All right. And then we're getting here about towards the bottom of the first round. These two seem familiar and sort of similar to me. Paula Poundstone, maybe people can kind of clown on her now, but she did bits about her cats on Comedy Central in the 90s that made me laugh. So I thought she was always a decent stand-up. And obviously Norm is a GOAT. just more for how little he gives a fuck about anything. So
Paul Poundstone is good, but Norm, his vibe, his energy, and the thing I love about Norm, sometimes he'll tell a street joke, and it's fucking hilarious just because of the way he tells it.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's telling you a street joke, but it's so fucking good. I love Norm's energy and his vibe. Yeah, Norm for sure.
All right, these are two of my favorites. Well, Kaufman's more of a performer in terms of like, here I come to say that. Bill Hicks, I think, is for me one of the greatest. I think I've listened to like Arizona Bay or all his old specials, like his old Freebird bits, his whole fucking sucking Satan's cock bit.
Yeah.
What's this guy on HBO? What's this guy that does Bill Maher, right?
Oh,
Bill Maher ripped off Bill Hicks when Bill Maher does New Rules. That is a direct ripoff of the old Bill Hicks bits, where he would be making fun of like a celebrity that was sucking Satan's cock for fame, and then he'd be like, "New rule," this and something, and so fucking Bill Maher weekly steals from Bill Hicks. Sorry, my bad.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that you didn't put Bill Hicks up against Dennis Leary, because Dennis Leary stole a lot of shit from Bill Hicks.
True.
But yeah, like you said, Coffin is more performance. So I go Bill Hicks on that one.
I think Leary lost it for me when he just got uber fucking political. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know when he went to fucking Monday Night Football and he was trying to make like Voltaire jokes and shit, like fucking like French Renaissance jokes.
No, that was
Dennis Leary, wasn't it? No, Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller. Sorry,
Miller's in football. Dennis Leary was the no cure.
Oh yeah, no cure for cancer. Yeah. He did. I mean, but he wasn't as good at it though.
No.
Just because I consider Garofalo similar to Seinfeld or Garofalo.
Fuck, I love them both, man. Like
they're both funny.
Seinfeld's great. I'm gonna give an upside here to Garofalo. I just think she's hilarious. I fucking love her. She's kind of an acquired taste. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people aren't into her, but I think she's great.
And then we get to Steve Martin or Bill Burr.
Steve Martin's a legend, but again, he's a little more performery, like the arrow through the head and all that shit, and the banjo stuff. I'm going to Bill Burr.
Yeah, and then he also said, like, once he saw some people in the back not laughing, he just decided to quit right then and there. So, all right, another one of my favorite late night, Dave Attell or newcomer on the scene, Eliza.
Love Dave Attell. I've always loved Dave Attell. He's one of the most brilliant. Again, he like off the top of his head, he can riff. He does a lot of one-liners. His show on his special, I forget it was Netflix or HBO or something. He put out a special. I think it was called Road Work. And it was almost like the Chris Rock thing. It was just like a bunch of different clips from a bunch of different shows, and they're all fucking gold. And he's I've actually gotten to perform on a show that he's been on.
Nice.
He's just great, dude. He's amazing. Eliza, I've never really cared for her a whole lot.
All right, and she's loses. Yeah, no, Attell's a beast. Yeah, and I even like the show that he did with Ross, right? Jeffrey Ross.
Oh, Bumpin' Mics.
Yeah, Bumpin' Mics. That was good.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned him earlier. No, it was somebody else. Todd Barry, or and another one. Obviously, this is another person that's another top seed. He's at the bottom of the bracket. Fucking Carlin.
Interesting here. I mentioned before. There's a handful of comics out of San Diego that make a living in comedy, and one of them is my buddy Zoltan. I don't know if you know Zoltan.
Mm-hmm.
He tours all over the country. Like he's on commercials, whatever. He's making his living in comedy. He does not like Carlin. He's a rare comic that doesn't think Carlin is good. And so just based on Zoltan being my buddy, I'm going to give Todd Barry the upset.
Todd Barry wins in an upset. Incredible upset. I don't know. I think that maybe I could get on board with that, with maybe the fact that so many people appropriate lines of his comedy to try to make like political statements, you know? Like Carlin in his day was fucking dope if you knew about Carlin, because you didn't give a fuck, and you know what I mean? But now it's like you're so fucking woke you listen to Carlin, that's like get the fuck out of here. All right, we're gonna move quickly to the second round. You already know who it is, so let's see who takes it here. We got Dave Chappelle versus Joan Rivers.
Dave Chappelle.
Stephen Wright versus Mitch Hedberg.
God
tough one
damn
here.
it, that's like
tough one here.
Style. Oh my God, I'm going Hedberg.
Hedberg moves on. Louis C.K. or Bernie Mac.
Fuck, that's another tough matchup. I got to go
Louis C.K. This is an all-comedian get-down. Richard Pryor versus Kinnison. They probably fought outside the Comedy Store at some point.
Yeah. Kinnison has a lower center of gravity. He's kind of small
Yeah.
and stocky. I'm going to give it to him. Kinnison takes the edge.
Kinnison takes it. Yeah. In a takedown. Brian Regan, since I fixed it now. Patrice O'Neal.
Patrice.
Norm or Bill Hicks?
Bill Hicks.
Garofalo or Bill Burr?
Bill Burr.
Dave Attell or Todd Berry? Todd Berry got here on an upset.
He did. Dave Attell.
Dave Attell leaving us with some pretty sick matchups. Let's go bottom up. Bill Burr, Dave Attell.
Fuck.
This is a fucking tough one. They're similar, but also have their own distinct styles, man. But Bill Burr's
really tough.
and he was on Star Trek. He was on Mandalorian too.
Man,
Dave Attell
that's
did have
honestly
that.
two of my favorite comics right there.
Dave Attell did have that porn show. This is a tough one. They're not going to be any easier than that.
Dave Attell. Upset Dave Attell.
Dave Attell upset. Patrice or Bill Hicks?
Patrice.
And moving to the top bracket, we got CK or Kinnison.
Louis.
Dave or Mitch?
Oh, I would love to see Mitch go further, but I think Dave takes him.
Dave or CK in one of the semis?
Louis CK's personal faults have finally caught up to him. Dave takes it.
Dave takes it in a woke move. Patrice or Dave Attell?
Dave Attell. Oh, shit, we got Dave versus Dave.
Dave versus Dave on Dave's bracket. Coincidence?
Oh, my God. I'm going to go Dave Attell.
Dave Attell. This is you can tell you're a comedian. In an all-time comedian bracket, the comedian's comedian comes out on top. Imagine that. Dave Attell wins the bracket. Oh
Crazy.
my God, that is crazy. Dave, man.
Some upsets along the way as well.
Some upsets. We learned some lessons. We heard some stories. I really appreciate the fact that we just got to talk comedy, and I just wanted to kind of talk to you because I know you're a funny person, man, and you're always down to clown, coming with projects and stuff. So
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
it was natural for me to want to have you on the show, even though you were like, "What's this about? What are you doing? What's the format? Do I have to bring
How much
bits?
DMT do I have to take?
How much? You want to watch some videos of monkeys decapitating each other? No? All right. But everybody watch the list on the Quarantine Network with Dave. It'll be on live tonight probably in a couple of hours. What's the topic tonight?
What did I pick for tonight? Oh, buddy comedies.
Buddy comedies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Stripes is my top pick. Just give you a little flavor.
Mine would be The Other Guys. Does that qualify?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great comedy.
Other Guys is one of the fucking favorite movies of all time, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, everybody catch Dave on the Quarantine Network on list. Go to if you're in San Diego, as a lot of people are. Go on Facebook on Shop Local SD if you want to look for some different kind of companies and local businesses where you might be able to buy somebody a gift instead of giving more money to Jeff Bezos, I guess, right? Like the guy's got enough. John Griffin Art for your art stuff, M&M Custom. My name is Lou Martinez, Big Chief Burrito. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great talking to you, buddy.
Everybody, be easy, and we're out.